What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be working on this 2006. This is a Nissan Frontier and it has the 4-cylinder. This is the 2.5. I'm gonna be replacing the radiator hoses, the thermostat, and the water pump. I got my parts right here. I'm gonna be using Denso for the radiator. For the hoses, I'm gonna use Gates. Water pump is gonna be Gates. The belt is gonna be Gates as well. And the thermostat, I'm just gonna use the Motor Rad. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking everything off. Apparently this is the original radiator. It still has the Nissan stamp on it, and the truck has roughly like 289,000 miles, so it has a couple of miles already. Pretty much the upper radiator tank blew up and it was leaking all the coolant out. I also checked the belt and the water pump. They look old, so that's why I'm gonna replace everything. I'm gonna start off by removing this piece right here. This is part of the intake. It's just a plastic piece. I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna remove these two bolts right here. I got my basic tools, so pretty much I got a set of wrenches and a set of sockets, a couple of screwdrivers and extensions. That's pretty much all I need, and also some pliers to remove the clamps. That should be enough. So like I said before, I'm gonna start removing this piece. All right, so I took off my two bolts and this thing should come off. All I gotta do is just pull it from here. Actually, I think you twist it. So you twist it counterclockwise. And this one right here, I got a bolt down there, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that bolt right now. Okay, so it has one bolt on the front and another one on the back. Right there, you can see it. So I'm just gonna take the whole thing off, and the reason why I'm taking the whole thing off is because I want as much room as possible. So there it is. I'm just gonna put everything on the side. Okay, the next thing I want to do is remove the shroud so I can have access to everything else. But before I even try to remove the shroud, the fan is gonna be on the way. So I got my fan right here. There's 4 nuts holding the clutch fan on the pulley, so I'm gonna remove all 4 of those. I'm gonna use a wrench, and it should be a 10 millimeter. So I got my 10 right here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start breaking them loose. So I'm gonna have to use both hands to hold the pulley because it's turning, but let me break them loose and I'll come back with you guys. All right, so I got the 4 nuts off. I'm just gonna put them on the side so I don't lose them. I'm just gonna put them on the side. Next, I'm gonna remove tension on the belt so that I can remove the belt. So the tension there, it's right next to the power steering pump, so it's this one right here. I already put the ratchet on. It's a 14. I'm gonna push it clockwise so that I can break it loose. Let me do that real quick. So you guys just put a little bit of pressure clockwise, and then it comes right off. And there it is. There's my belt. So I want to show you guys, this is already cracked. It has a bunch of cracks, so it's a good idea to replace it. And you're gonna take it off anyway, so might as well just throw a new one on. Okay, now I'm gonna remove my clutch fan, and I'm just gonna take it off from the side, and just put it right here with the rest of the parts. I'm able to see that there's already another leak over here on the water hose. There's a bunch of coolant right here, and it's dripping from the hose. So I mean, I needed to replace the hose needed replacement anyways, so that's a good thing that I'm gonna replace the hoses. All right, now that I got those out of the way, I'm gonna start removing my upper radiator hose, and I'm gonna remove my shroud. To remove the shroud, there's a couple of hoses wrapped around it, so I'm gonna start removing everything that is wrapped around the shroud, and I'm just gonna put it on the side. So there's this right here going to the reservoir. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my pliers. Pliers over here. I'm just gonna take this off. It broke off. That's how old this radiator is. That plastic is just gonna start breaking off. Okay, there is another hose wrapped around it. I don't know if you guys are able to see it, but it's the it's gonna be one of the transmission coolers. So I'm just gonna go ahead, reach underneath and detach it from the shroud. And I'm gonna go ahead and check to see if there's any more. There's this cable right here also. It's on the shroud with a zip tie, so I'm gonna try to be careful and remove that one as well. And on this side, I don't see anything on this side, so I mean my flashlight is not the greatest, but so all I gotta do now is just remove this wire right here. For this is for the sensor on the AC, and just remove my upper radiator hose. Now there's two bolts on the shroud, one right here and one right here. I've never taken this one off, but I'm assuming that the shroud slides down on two holes, so it should slide down and it should slide up, and then the only thing holding it is the two bolts. I'm hoping that's the case. If not, there might be more bolts underneath, but lately that's how they do it. They just put like two pins and then they slide on the holes. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove my upper radiator hose, the two bolts, and I'm just gonna hope for the shroud to just slide out of the radiator. I got my two bolts off. My sensor over here, the wire, I took that off as well. And apparently it looks like it does slide in and out. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get it out. You know what? There might be another cooler hose for the transmission underneath, because I mean it for sure it slides up and down, but there's something holding it. So I'm gonna go underneath, and most likely I'm gonna have to remove one of those transmission cooler hoses. All right guys, so there is another transmission hose holding the shroud, but there is an access port over here, so I'm gonna use this access port to just pull the hose out of the shroud, and I should be able to remove the shroud. All right guys, so the other thing holding it is gonna be the lower radiator hose. And I mean, I can't really show you guys, but there's a clip right here, a plastic clip. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo the clip with a screwdriver, and I should be able to remove the shroud after. All right, so now I should be able to remove the shroud. You kind of always need, oh, you know what, man? All right guys, so there's something else holding it, so I gotta go. All right, so there's something else holding it on this side, so I'm gonna check again. So apparently the transmission hose on this side, it has a hook on the side and a hook on the bottom. On this side you have a hook for the other transmission hose and also the lower radiator hose. So now that I removed everything, this thing should come off, and there it is. I'm just gonna put it on the side, but before I do, I want to show you guys. All right, so you gotta remove the transmission hose on this corner. There's another transmission hose that goes right here, and over here you got the radiator hose. So you gotta remove 1, 2, 3 before you're able to take this off. All right guys, so now I should have a lot more access to the water pump and the radiator. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna remove the pulley from the water pump. I'm just gonna put it right here on the side. For the water pump, it looks like there's only 4 bolts holding it. So it's 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is right here. So here's the 4th one. So this should be a pretty easy water pump to replace. And for the radiator, all I gotta remove is my lower radiator hose, so it's right here. And I got one transmission line, and there's the other transmission line right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove those two. Actually, before I remove them, I'm gonna drain the radiator because there's still coolant in here. So you can't see it, but you're able to hear it. There's coolant in the system. I'm gonna go ahead and put this underneath, and I also got this for any overspills, so I don't want to make a mess on the floor. And if anything, I'm gonna remove the radiator from the box, and I'm gonna use the cardboard so I can put it underneath as well. All right guys, so I'm ready to drain the coolant. There is a drain plug right here. It has a Phillips, so all you gotta do is turn it counterclockwise and it should come off, and then you should be able to start draining the coolant. Let me see if I can show you guys real quick. So it's right here. All right guys, so here's the drain plug, and like I said, it's about right here, and all you need is just a Phillips screwdriver. All right, so I'm gonna let it drain. For the meanwhile, I'm gonna start removing the radiator. So there's two brackets on top of the radiator. To get to the brackets, you gotta remove these clips that hold the grill together. So I'm gonna remove these plastic clips. There's 4 of them, and then I'm gonna be able to get to my bolts for the brackets that hold the radiator. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for now. I got my plastic clips off. I try not to break them, but they're old, so they're gonna break. If you want, you could just buy new ones from AutoZone. I know they sell them, but now I'm able to create enough room to remove the brackets. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those 2 brackets. I got those brackets off, so my radiator is loose. For the radiator, it's attached to the condenser, so I'm assuming I gotta remove the radiator from this bracket that goes all the way down. This one's just like the shroud. It just slides down and then you just hold it with the brackets. So I'm gonna pull it up, and I'm gonna slightly push it forward. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. So for now, I know I have to remove 2 bolts to detach the condenser, and I'm pretty sure once I remove those 2 bolts, the radiator or the condenser, you're gonna be able to pull it up and detach it from each other. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these 2 10s. All right, so I got my bolts off on both sides, and apparently there's a lot of play on the radiator, between the radiator and the condenser, so it means that one of them is gonna slide out. I think it's gonna be the condenser in this case, but we'll see right now. All right, so I was able to detach the condenser from the radiator, but before you proceed, we have to remove the hoses. So I got 2 little hoses for the transmission cooler, and I have another hose for the lower radiator hose. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the upper radiator hose. Since I'm replacing it anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and take it off, and I'm gonna be using the vice grips because it's a lot safer and a lot faster. All right guys, so here's my radiator. So I disconnected the lower radiator hose from the thermostat housing. It's a lot easier. And then I just removed the transmission lines. I'm gonna put it on the side, and I'm gonna start removing the water pump and the thermostat. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the water pump. So like I said, there's only 4 bolts. There's one right here, another one right here on this side and on the bottom, and this thing should come off. I already put my oil pan underneath because I don't want to make any more spills than I already did. And after that, I'm gonna remove the thermostat housing. There's only 1 bolt right here and another one on the bottom, and that should be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove both of them. I got my water pump, thermostat housing, and my thermostat right here, and apparently this is the original water pump. This is the original thermostat. You're able to see the Nissan logo right there, so it says Nissan. And I want to show you guys something real quick. There's minimum rust on the water pump, the thermostat, and the housing on the motor where it bolts onto, so there's almost no rust, meaning that they took good care of the cooling system. All right, so now I'm gonna clean my surfaces. I gotta clean the where the radiator hoses go to, because there's a lot of corrosion. There is no rust, it's just corrosion from the antifreeze. Hopefully I'm still able to use the housing, and I also gotta clean the thermostat housing. So it's kind of corroded, but it's not rust. I hope it's just built up from the antifreeze. I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything, and I'm gonna reinstall my water pump and my thermostat. I'm gonna go ahead and install my new water pump and my thermostat. I already cleaned my surface for the water pump and for my thermostat. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna apply silicone on the gasket on both sides. Also on my thermostat, just a little bit of silicone. I just want to make sure it's not gonna leak. And I'm gonna go ahead and install everything back. All right guys, before you install the thermostat, make sure that this little thing right here, it goes up. I don't know what kind of thermostat you guys have, but there's always a little hole with something like this. Make sure it's, when you install it, it's facing up. Okay, so there's my water pump. and my thermostat housing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install the radiator. So I gotta remove these brackets right here. There's one on this side, the other one's on this side, and it has a bolt right on the bottom. There it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove both brackets and put them on my new radiator. All right, I got my brackets on already. So this is one. Here's the other bracket. Make sure you guys put the rubber grommets that go underneath. I'm also gonna go ahead and install my lower radiator hose. That way I just throw everything back the same way it came out, and it'll make it a little bit easier for myself. All right, so there's my radiator. I already bolted on the condenser. I put my brackets on, both my brackets, the lower radiator hose, the transmission cooler lines, they're already on. The hoses, they're little hoses. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the shroud back on, and all I gotta do is put my pulley, my clutch fan, my upper radiator hose, and I'm pretty much done. All right guys, so here's my shroud installed. I already connected all the hoses underneath and on the sides, but I was gonna put the pulley for the water pump, and the other pulley, the new one, doesn't have the studs. So I'm taking the studs with the two nuts because they're a little bit hard. So I'm gonna install the studs on this old water pump to the new one, and then I'm gonna install my pulley and my belt and my clutch fan. I'm almost done. This is pretty simple, but I mean, you gotta take this extra step for the studs, so not a big deal. So I got my pulley, my fan clutch on, my belt, and if you don't know the routing of the belt, just look it up online. That's exactly what I did. I don't remember how it goes, so you could always just look it up online. I'm gonna go ahead and install the upper radiator hose, my intake piece that goes right here, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna fill it up, and I gotta bleed all the air out, and I'm done. I'm gonna go ahead and install the last two pieces, and then I'll show you guys how I bleed the air out of the system. I'm pretty much done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add the antifreeze. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add the antifreeze, turn it on, make sure nothing leaks. Then I'm gonna check both radiator hoses, and my thermostat is on the bottom one. So after I let it run for a while and I bleed all the air out of the system, I'm gonna hold the bottom radiator hose, and as soon as the hose gets hot, I know that the thermostat opens, so I'm gonna let it run for a little bit more, and I'm gonna make sure all the air comes out of the system. Once I don't see any more air, then I'm gonna go ahead, put the radiator cap, and that's gonna be it. All right, I already added all my antifreeze, so it's pretty much full. I'm gonna turn it on, let it run, and I'm gonna bleed all the air out of the system. All right guys, so I let it run for a while. I don't see any more air in the system. Both hoses are hot. This one's pretty hot. Let me check the bottom one. The bottom one is pretty hot as well. So I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead, put the radiator cap, drive it, make sure everything's good, nothing is leaking. I already checked underneath. I'm gonna take it for a test drive. I'm gonna make sure nothing leaks after the test drive, and that should be it. So that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll try to help you as best as I can. Thank you.